want Kyrie. No. That's not what we're chanting. I walked in this morning and I was like, we want Legler. And look who showed up. Matt, Nicole, Tim Legler.
Leg day. Sports Center.
Don't skip it.
Who wants it? Let's talk a little bit of streaking with James Harden. You knew the storyline coming in, legs, 24 straight games of at least 30 points. Against the Nuggets. Nuggets, a good basketball team. Harden had to put in some work last night, courtesy of Nikola Jokic, who also had a good game. More on that in a minute. Early in the first, Harden was doing his thing, being guarded by Paul Millsap up top, and then he was able to create his own play.
Yeah, I mean, the step-back three obviously gets you up on your toes. As a defender, he's already being guarded by a power forward, so that's when you cross him up. Get to the rim here. He gets the matchup he wants to switch. Big guy can't get out there. Harden hot early again.
And then drives in and gets three Nuggets defenders to put in the bucket. This is what he was doing all night.
Look like he was playing hopscotch. I mean, look, on this one, there might have been a little extra something in there. But look, it's the combination of the physical strength to finish at the rim and then that shooting ability. That's what makes him so great.
Rockets led by 8 after 1. And then some role players. Torrey Craig, a big night.
Role players lit them up. Torrey Craig's energy, you see him high flying at the rim, but then he's also knocking down threes in transition. You had Malik Beasley, Morris, you name it. The Nuggets role players understood Houston was not in a defensive mindset, and those guys took advantage.
So how about Craig, a career-high 22 points, Beasley, a career-high 35 points, and then you know Jokic is going to eventually get involved.
It's built around him. I call the middle of the floor from the top of the key to the middle lane, Jokic Boulevard. He operates in that area of the floor unlike any player I've ever seen. Skill set dominated Houston.
So then late in the game, they were going to get this thing done, so we had to start streak watching. Harden here gets blocked by Craig, would get it back, and then get the assist to Kenneth Faried.
Yeah, it felt a little bit like they were thinking about this streak here at the end of the game, down 15, 20 points with a couple minutes to go. You still got to be good enough to make shots, but James Harden turns it over a couple times here late.
So is the streak going to end? I mean, we're down to a minute and a half in the game, and it was just over a minute left. Legs, I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, P.J. Tucker turns down a corner three, gives it back to Harden. A little up fake. Defender goes by. This is an incredibly difficult shot when the guy is coming from behind you. It's so distracting, but I guess not for James Harden, who gets that 30 again.
So the streak lives 136-102, 122. The Nuggets beat the Rockets. They snap a 9-game losing streak against Houston. It wasn't pretty, but the streak lives. 25th consecutive game, tying Wilt Chamberlain for the third longest streak in NBA history, as Harden still trails 2 of Wilt's other streaks from the 1960s. Tonight, Harden will look to make it 26 straight games against the Jazz. Now, Jokic, we had mentioned him in the highlights, led the Nuggets with a monster year, but he's been really, really good since January 1st. Jokic is the 3rd best player efficiency rating in the NBA, just slightly behind Anthony Davis and James Harden.
So we also had this game last night at MSG between the Celtics and the Knicks, and you get Kyrie Irving, who is a free agent this summer. And I think he has forgotten what he said just a few months ago about staying with Boston.
I mean, I respect the Knicks organization. Obviously, they're making moves to position themselves for this upcoming summer. So, you know, I wish them the best. I spent the last 8 years trying to do what everybody else wanted me to do in terms of making my decisions and trying to validate through the media, through other personnel, managers, anybody in this business, and I don't owe anybody.
I'd like to remind you about a couple of things, but this isn't about me, this is about him. And he got a warm welcome at MSG. It was like a big warm welcome hug from the fans. What did they see from Kyrie?
Well, one of the most dynamic offensive talents in the game, and he's done it on the biggest stage as well. You know how electrifying this guy can be. He's almost unguardable with the combination of handle and range. So right now, the Knicks, of course, they're going to want Kyrie. They want anybody right now because it's basically Dennis Smith and nobody else going forward until they land a couple of free agents. So that's why Kyrie got the reception that he did.
And he's not a dunker. By the way, that was his first dunk of the season. 23 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and a lovely little chant. I know it's pure speculation, but at this point, like, what is your gut telling you? Are those guys actually going to make legit moves to build a team around these guys at this point?
My gut says no. I think it makes a lot more sense for Kevin Durant to want to change more than Kyrie.
113-99. Celtics win.
It's nothing but a distraction at this point. So, you know, like I said, I'm appreciative of the fan support I get in the arena. But, of course, coming back home, obviously what's going on in terms of that noise and commentary is just a bunch of nonsense right now. You know, can't do anything about it. So I'm just accepting, I'm appreciative, but at the same time, I got a game to focus on.
You did hear the chants, Kyrie?
Are you reaching for it right now?
No, I couldn't hear everything.
Everybody heard it. Like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. I have a focus in winning the championship this year, and that's where my focus is going to stay. So, you know, even me saying something like that is not concrete enough for anybody.
All right, moving on. Let me make you an offer you can totally refuse, which is what the Lakers did with the Pelicans in exchange for Anthony Davis, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Rajon Rondo, Michael Beasley, and a first-round pick. That's according to our Adrian Wojnarowski. Now, the NBA trade deadline is February the 7th, so this coming week. The Pelicans haven't countered, which means, Lakers, it's still your move. You got to do better.
Your starting point in these kinds of talks, especially for a player of Anthony Davis' stature, would be, most of your good young players and multiple first-round picks. And the Pelicans haven't got an offer yet, I'm told, that includes more than one first-round pick or salary cap relief, which means an offer to take on, some contracts you might not want. There is a immense gap between what the Pelicans expect to be able to get for Anthony Davis and what the Lakers are offering. They made offers on Paul George in Indiana. They made offers on Kawhi Leonard last year in San Antonio. And so far, the Lakers are following the pattern that they did with George and Leonard. And we know the results of both those negotiations. They didn't get the players in trades. The players went elsewhere. There is pressure to get a deal done from the Lakers side, from Anthony Davis' side, to get this done before Thursday. Knowing that if they get into the offseason, the Celtics can come, with a much bigger arsenal of assets, young players, draft picks to get at Anthony Davis. And listen, it's a negotiation. There's still time until Thursday, but I'm told that New Orleans hasn't seen anything yet that would even cause them to counter. They haven't treated the offer seriously.
And I can't say that I blame them. I mean, look at this. Anthony Davis is #1 in player efficiency rating this season. And then you look at the Lakers' assets. You've got Kyle Kuzma. He ranks the highest among them, 137. And then you got guys like Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and Josh Hart. They're not even in the top 200.
Yeah, I don't know that trade is balanced. Tim Legler with us. You heard his voice a second ago. We heard Kyrie in the highlight. There's a lot of things with him in New York. What about this entire Kyrie Irving situation as a head-scratcher to you?
Because you think about why he left Cleveland, right? He wanted to get out of the shadow of LeBron James and prove that he could take his own franchise places, right? So he gets out of the shadow of another great player. He goes to Boston. He's around one of the best front offices, one of the best head coaches, plenty of talent around him. He's set up to contend for the next 5 to 6 years in Boston. He could get more money there than anywhere else. And he says he might, and he doesn't say this, but the speculation is maybe he wants to go to New York, the worst team in the league, one of the worst front offices in the league. Fizdale's a pretty good coach, and again, go into the shadow of another guy if Kevin Durant comes there. I do not understand that whatsoever. And I don't want to hear the whole, well, he's from North Jersey. Like, that's where he's from. Who cares? You can go live there if you want to when you're done playing. This is what we thought Kyrie wanted. This situation in Boston, exactly how it's set up for him. I think it's starting to look like he has a hard time leading these guys. He's frustrated with leading the young players. Right, he's frustrated with it, the process. Is he more comfortable riding sidecar? Like he was with LeBron? Is he more comfortable riding sidecar? Because that's what he would be again with Kevin Durant, because make no mistake about it, that would be Kevin Durant's show if he goes to New York and joins Kyrie Irving. Now, that's a lot of speculation. Who knows what those guys are going to do? It makes more sense for me to think about KD leaving Golden State and go to New York than it does Kyrie leaving Boston to go there.
I just want to remind you that we are talking about a guy who dug his heels on the fact that the earth is flat.
It's hard to get inside that noggin, what Kyrie's thinking.
Tim is back. That's him. I'm Nicole. The other guy over at this table is Matt. I like your jacket today.
Thank you. Does it come off as purple on air?
I don't know. Kind of does in person, too.
Can't tell because we're here.
The Thunder have won 6 straight, taking on the Heat. And this combination of Russell Westbrook and Paul George, that kind of works, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does. They've got tremendous chemistry. I think there's a trust factor between these two that Russell Westbrook at times, I think, had a hard time finding with Kevin Durant. And that's why Paul George is having the best year of his career.
Why do you think that is?
I think because Russell Westbrook is not threatened by Paul George in any way. I felt that there was a competition between those two other stars. and closing out games is a problem because of that. But Russell Westbrook inherently trusts Paul George, lets him have his runs when he gets hot. And Dennis Schroeder, by the way, how hot has he been?
He was perfect in the second.
And he had 18 points in the fourth quarter of the game before, 24 in the second quarter of this one. That's 42 points in less than a half of basketball.
That's some good math. He didn't even need a calculator for that one. I want to tell you that Paul George had 43 points, also had a career-high 10 3-pointers, and it was another triple-double for that guy, Russell Westbrook, 14 points, 14 assists, and 12 rebounds. The Thunder have the NBA's current longest winning streak at 7 games.
Yeah, it matches their season high as well. And again, Paul George triggering that best year of his career. I think he's already he's going to be a nominee for Defensive Player of the Year. But now he's in this shooting mode where every time it comes off his fingertips, I expect it to go in from deep. And Russell Westbrook more than willing to share the burden. He enjoys getting the help.
118-102, their 7th win in a row. Thunder play the Celtics Sunday afternoon, by the way. This is the 41st time that Russell Westbrook was able to do the triple-double thing in just the first 3 quarters of the game. I'm not sure I need to tell you this, but that is by far the most in the NBA over the last 20 years. James Harden is number 2 on the list, 12 compared to 41. Paul George is an MVP candidate, and if he's not, I'm sorry, there's something wrong. He's averaging north of 30 points per game in the last 30 games. That is the longest he has gone in his career. As like just said, it's a career year for him. And last night was the 3rd time this season that George dropped at least 40 to go with a Westbrook triple-double in the same game. They're only the 4th set of teammates ever to do that at least 3 times in one season.
Talk about the Hawks and Jazz. Legs, do you believe Rudy Gobert is an all-star snub?
Absolutely. I think that when you look at the impact, and sometimes the numbers don't reflect that statistically in a box score, when you look at the impact in winning, Rudy Gobert deserves to be there. Unfortunately, it's an offensive-minded game and selection.
Yeah, Gobert leads the league in contested shots with 676. He was emotional when he found out he wasn't going to be in the All-Star game, and he should be. And then this is what he can do as well.
Yeah, I'd be emotional, too, if it cost me $1 million. I think I'd cry, too, because that's what it cost him by not getting selected for that team.
The system is flawed.
Yeah, well, we could do a whole segment on that. We'll do that on Monday or Tuesday. 8 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Gobert. Merely just saying the show's packed today, Briscoe. That's it.
You could see the daggers.
I mean, it wasn't shots fired. It was like, hey, we're packed. Gobert leads the league in field goal percentage.
That for you.
And Dirk Nowitzki will each get one more All-Star game moment as he added the 2 legends to a special 3rd round of the All-Star draft, which will be held next Thursday. Captains LeBron and Giannis will pick from the pool of All-Stars in 6 days. In an expected move, the Bulls waived Carmelo Anthony. It clears the way for Melo to become a free agent and find a possible destination after rosters settle down following next Thursday's trade deadline. Oh, the possibilities when the unicorn is healthy and he's with Luka, and the possibilities in New York now that Porzingis is gone. On ESPN.com, ESPN NBA writer Kevin Pelton asked the question, could the Knicks land KD, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis? Yes, that's an and. Our NBA cap man, Bobby Marks, is with us. And yesterday you showed us how the Knicks could fit this summer, potentially, Kyrie and Kevin Durant. How are you going to fit in Anthony Davis if you get those 2 guys?
Well, it all starts on May 14th with the #1 pick in the draft. If the Knicks are fortunate to get the #1 pick, which would likely be Zion Williamson, now they've got a selling point for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to fit into that double max slot. What's going to happen, though, is that they can't make a trade right away for a player like Anthony Davis. Remember back in with Kevin Love and Andrew Wiggins, they had to wait to 30 days. That's the scenario there to fit Anthony Davis in. So come August, you can trade the #1 pick in the draft. You would have to clear out all your young players here.
So Dennis Smith, who you just brought in, you just drafted Kevin Knox, they're all gone.
You are clearing the deck here. And you would not take Anthony Davis in with cap space. This would be a trade here. And then we slide AD in. And there is your big 3. Now, what do you have left?
Yeah.
You've got 9 or 10 minimum players to kind of fit around. You'll have your room mid-level, $4.4 million. But that is the scenario. That's the 3-step process. But it all starts on May 14th.
Okay, this is a realistic scenario, right? When you look at all the numbers and potentially dumping everything out. It all depends. They have the worst record in the NBA right now. Winning the Zion lottery will be the key for the Knicks as that bargaining chip for another potential blockbuster trade. Bobby, thank you so much. Let's bring in Michael Wilbon. What a week, Michael. And Kyrie's comments today has got the NBA world buzzing about the summer. Hearing what Bobby just said, what do you think about this scenario of KD, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis playing for the Knicks next year?
I know how close you guys are sitting to New York right now, and everybody's out of control in the entire region up and down I-95 near New York. How about just KD and Kyrie? How about starting there? The Knicks, remember the last time the Knicks had money, 2010, it pretty much struck out. They had money then. It was about the last time they had it. So now, and first of all, trying to predict where guys are going to wind up going in July now is like looking at poll numbers, in August and knowing exactly what's going to happen on election night. It's far from an exact science. So, but Kevin Durant, a lot of people, and just talking to club executives and agents this week, a lot of them think Kevin Durant won't be at Golden State and New York is a viable option. Okay, I see that. If Kyrie Irving does that, that would be such a start for the Knicks. They have so many other options. Remember, AD is still under contract to New Orleans at this moment for another year. So I don't know how much the Knicks would have in terms of assets to get rid of to trade for him. But the notion of KD and Kyrie, that's a lot to handle in and of itself.
It's been a crazy week around the NBA, and let's add that LeBron is back on the court last night. He played 40 minutes as the Lakers won. They're at Golden State tomorrow night. Prime time on ABC. Michael Wilbon here.